Hi, welcome everybody. I'm here with Dr. Lauren Nappen, an old friend of mine, and I'm really truly excited to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
So, yes, it's like, I don't know, it just showed up and I was really excited that you said yes.
Oh, as soon as you texted me, I was like, "Oh, absolutely, absolutely. This will be
Yes,
fun."
yes, indeed. So I'm going to read a little bit of your bio and then we're going to get started and we'll see, where it takes us.
Yeah, beautiful.
For over 30 years, Dr. Lauren has been sharing her love of spiritual healing and wholeness through timeless principles of divine alignment and the power of touch. A spiritual alchemist, intuitive teacher, and award winning author, she holds multiple degrees and certifications in the natural and energetic healing arts. She concedes that after a while, listening to them means nothing, living them means everything. So true. For the complete and ever evolving list, you can go to her website, drlaurennappen.com. So I think I'm going to stop there, and I really invite all of you who are listening or watching to check out Lauren's website, and of course, your information is going to be in the show notes, so people can
Thank you. Awesome.
check you out. So, now, Lauren, I was trying to think about how we met. Did we meet because you took the class, or did we meet beforehand?
I think we met because I showed up at your house for the class. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So that's now, I think, 15-ish or
yeah,
so years ago.
something like that. I know. Who's counting?
Wow, uh, and yeah, it's like it was a wonderful opportunity to meet, and then we became friends,
Yeah,
and even though we're not that much in contact, I feel like there's that eternal, that sort of spiritual connection that's always ever present.
I would agree with that. I think that happens with a lot of people you can't be in touch with on a daily basis, and somehow you just recognize you're called to tune in when you need to tune in, you reach out when you need to, and there's a perfection in that.
Exactly.
Yeah, just a perfection.
So I want to get started today with asking you, like, how did you get started on this journey of healing and transformation? Uh,
Mm,
what's it going?
how did this happen? So my mom, I'll just take it all the way back. So my mom was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was a child, and that sparked her own journey. So she started asking questions and looking for other ways of caring for herself, which landed her in touch with somebody who taught Reiki. And long ago and far away, that was, an odd thing. Um, and in my like 1920, when I was like 19 or 20, I ended up taking my first Reiki class. So yeah,
Wow.
it's been a long time. So that was the start of the journey. And I would also say, in terms of alignment and spiritual calling, if you're connected with nature, I worked on a farm, I'm always in the garden, I'm walking barefoot. I love my work because it's my space, so I don't have to wear shoes. That would be a prime thing to be grounded that way. Um, and chiropractic came in along the way because I literally just needed a very solid earthbound career. When I got to chiropractic school, though, just like listening to intuition, the sign I saw when I walked in the door said the chiropractic adjustment was about uniting man, the physical, with man,
Mm,
the spiritual.
oh,
And I went,
wow.
okay, I'm done. I'm in. That was it.
Oh, that's so cool.
That was how it started.
Let's take a quick break. I want to remind you that if you're interested in learning more about neuro emotional coaching or kinesiology, if you would like to have a taste, find out what it could do for you or your business, your family, please look at the show notes. There's a link for a 30-minute free introductory meeting, and we can explore it. You can look at what is holding you back, what are your dreams, what is it that you always wanted to achieve. Don't be shy, sign up. Now, let's get back to the show. So, right from the get go, the way they looked at it was just, the
Yes.
line, like comprehensive and
Hmm.
sort of cool. And so that was like what, 20 years ago now?
That's, well,
Not
in
not
fact,
80 you.
well, not at all. So let's see. So I graduated in 93. So somebody else do the math.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah.
And then from there, like things evolved. Like I think as you're learning things or you're working on yourself, you added different tools and techniques and sort of combine. And I think that's the wonderful thing of you saying that you're being an alchemist. It's just like always using your intuition to see what shows up to assist people with what they need in the moment.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a large portion of what I do in my work daily. So over the years, I've brought in flower essences, color, as you can see in the background here, um, uh, seasonal ceremonies, paying attention to the nature of ourselves because we are multidimensional beings. And it's very easy for any of us at any point to get stuck in one layer of consciousness and not recognize that there's so much more to us. So every tool that would cross my doorstep, I'd be like, oh, I know who can use this. And that's just a calling. And if you put them all together, it makes me go inside and say, well, what's my stronger purpose? Because if I claim the identity of chiropractor, well,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm limited to somebody's definition of that. And it's not really what happens in here. They're all tools. And how can we open somebody up so that they have a greater conversation with themselves? And
Exactly.
that's how it's all taken place over the years. So that's why I like people are like, what do you do?
Mm.
Okay, I'm not quite sure how to answer that. So yeah,
Yeah.
that works. Hmm.
Yeah. Is there like something that you go back to often, either for yourself or for with your clients when you
So
try
part
to?
of, yeah, I would say flower essences are a primary tool that I use regularly. I've also used those actually since I was in high school. Went to a health food store. I was discouraged by something, and somebody in the health food store said, "Here, take this." And a few days later, all of a sudden, I wasn't discouraged by something. And so, what I love about flower essences is they're easy to take. There's no side effects, and when I look at healing, if we're going to do multidimensional, we have physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. And so I want to do this top down, bottom up approach. I want people to remember that they are a soul, they're having an experience here, and we're also part of the earth. So we have to be able to do both places. And we're very good at the physical level in terms of paying attention to that. We're not so good at paying attention as a matter of habit and foundation, that source of spirit and our soul connection. And that's where I think flower essences are pretty easy because they come from nature. You can explain them pretty quickly, and you get a shift within 24 to 48 hours. You get a shift within 5 minutes if you are in crisis or emergency. So I pretty much have them at play all the time. And then I weave everything else in. So that would be one tool. Even if I can't find somebody to adjust me, I'm making a dosage bottle for myself.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I have all the Bach remedies, and that's one of the first things that I took with me to Israel.
Hmm.
And lately, I've been also finding myself using them more frequently,
Yeah.
and also suggesting to some of my clients just to put a drop or two in their bottle, their kid's bottle, and
Hmm.
just to help them adjust and deal with all the stuff that's going on here.
Hmm.
And I'm finding that if it's the right one,
Oh, yes.
it's like I mean, it's really like you say, it's immediate. There's an immediate shift in the energy and what's going on, and so
Well,
yeah.
and that's why rescue remedy is pretty important right now because that particular essence has 5 essences in it, and if you were
Right.
to take what each essence actually does, all of us are experiencing some form of crisis in one way or another. And so it becomes the most popular because pretty much everyone perceives their life at the moment as a crisis. So it becomes super helpful. If we can add one or two other things to that are very specific, like you said, to their particular character trait or how they how they react in personality, then you're golden.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
highly, highly recommended.
Oh, well, so lots of times my recommendations are pretty direct. Just take this. Well, why? Because I'm telling you to right now. Sometimes I'm that direct. But other times, in every session I do, it's one of the first things I give them to go home with. Um, and I just see these are going to help on a different level. You're used to chemistry of pharmaceutical land, or even chemistry of essential oil or herbs, which is fine because I also do um, nutrition work with people. This is going to work on a different level where we don't have to manage complications between pharmaceuticals they may be taking or something along those lines. If you need a longer consultation to make sure you're not going to be interfering with whatever their path is. These are so gentle that it's just going to take the edge off of whatever intense emotion they're feeling, so that they can come into, I want to say, just a deeper communication back into their knowing. Because when we're in crisis and we're in reactivity, we're not listening very well to the rest of us. It's
Mm-hmm.
impossible. And once you're on that cycle, that hamster wheel, it becomes difficult to get off to hear what I'm going to say. Door number 3, right? You have, well, you have this, and what are we doing about getting in alignment with door number 3, which should be door number 1. However, mm-hmm.
But we talked about this a little bit before we got on. Let's talk about people that are dealing with just extreme cases of anxiety. And I can tell you, so for those of you who are new to my podcast, I live in Israel, and just this morning, I think we had 30 missiles, and then another 10 were, uh, you know, deployed.
Mm-hmm.
And people are, I mean, even myself, it's like there were a couple of times I found myself outside the bunker because I didn't make it there in time.
Mm-hmm.
I was just looking up and watched how, first of all, it's loud. You,
Mm-hmm.
you hear extreme sounds, and you can almost tell by how loud it was if it hit something. And because you're in the bunker and you have no internet. Sometimes people have a radio, and believe it or not, even though you're really underground, those old radios they, they work. But so you can get a little bit of information. So, what do you tell people that are, like they're afraid for their life, and it's actually real because here people are actually are worried that their house or wherever they are, they might get hit by a missile.
Yeah, so that's a very big experience that not a lot of people are actually dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Um, which reminds us that even if we're not, people have that internal power to let the mind run huge stories. So you're talking missiles, people will come in here and they're talking triple threat breast cancer or whatever storyline has come in. And my first step with them is to literally just sit and breathe with them while they're saying whatever it is they need to say. Because we go into those places of entrainment when we talk about resonance, somebody around you is going to be just enough stronger than you are, or you're going to be just enough stronger than someone else. And if we can come into that place inside of us and we allow that to move through, we can slow our breathing down. And as we slow our breathing down, because we have that choice in that moment, then that can have a ripple effect. The other thing I'll do with people is, one of the other tools that I picked up along the way a few years ago was the havening technique, which is one of my favorite psychosensory healing arts because it's the power of touch that anybody can do.
Mm-hmm.
We can use it in PTSD situations. We can use it in all kinds of situations to unhook those emotions to unconscious memory that are buried long ago and far away. But simply, if you just start doing this and you just encourage somebody to do it with you, that will start that process in the brain. And I find too that there's not always a lot you can say to somebody when they're in the panic. However, you can do this with them.
Right.
Hmm.
If they let you.
If they let you, but you can also just say, stare at me, please. Look deeply into my eyes. I'm going to say a few things or whatever it is, but just hold with them and just start moving your hands back and forth. And then when they calm down enough, I'm prone in here because I just go in and hug.
Mm,
I just go in and hug and just breathe with them. So
mm,
I don't know that there's any magic words to say when somebody's emotional content is so high that their hindbrain has kicked in,
right.
right? That's a difficult piece. So
Right.
something like this can start. You can also hold the index finger, you can hold your thumb, you can hold the palm of your hand. And so it really, I think it depends on the person who's sitting or standing in front of you.
We have a young kid that we have a couple young kids um, that come in the bunker, and one of them is so anxious. And this morning, the mother was smart enough, and you can't really touch him. Sometimes like he will be okay with it. But the mother was not smart enough to give him a blanket,
Uh-huh, sure.
and that was you could see how he was hovering in the corner under the blanket, and he can't even allow himself to be. He's like he's too cool to be anxious, but he can't have.
A pillow over your solar plexus.
A pillow on your solar plexus, and uh, blanket, and technique like you're talking about. And there's a bunch of different things that you can do, which just helps us to calm down. And this morning, for the first time, the radio actually said, and maybe you guys all want to do some breathing exercises. And I was like, "You're in the bunker and you can't get out, but please don't get out," because oftentimes people are so anxious that they get out early. And
Mhm.
and that's something that we do, whether it's a situation like this, or you have the threat of an illness or something, that we are starting to sabotage ourselves because we just
Mhm.
can't help
Singing,
ourselves.
singing,
Singing, singing,
humming, humming, you know.
humming is good. I do
Yeah.
that to the dentist when they work on me. I
Uh-huh.
hum. I hum. I tell them ahead of time. So that's why, as you're drilling on my teeth, I just want to let you know I'm going to be humming.
Yeah, I don't think there's one absolute answer to a question like that because everybody processes the energy around them differently. What level they hear it from. So, like you were saying, depending upon the person, the child, touch may not be something that you can do with someone, but however, they can do it,
Right.
which is which is why it becomes so powerful. So when we can demonstrate, come into a deep breath ourselves, or even just, okay, everybody, hand on your heart and just breathe. We're just going to breathe.
Oh, I can just do it, and I don't need to say anything, and they can just watch me, and
That's right.
and they
Any,
want to try it also or not.
yep. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that there's one magic genie for such a big question. Um,
No, for sure not.
for sure not, right? Just how do we come into some place of center?
Exactly.
Hmm.
I've been over the weekend. I had sort of like a 2 days of hosting people, kids with their parents, and I suggested that they do something with their hands. And so
Hmm.
one mom started to felt, and the other one started to make a bracelet, and somebody was, you know, um, sanding a piece of wood. And then another kid came and they wanted to do it, and it was like, yeah. So I've been doing a lot of puzzles.
Yes.
But it's like, it calms me down. It's something to do. Put some music on, or
Well,
and
what it does is if our frame of reference is too far out into the world, even if the world is 2 feet away, if that's
Mhm.
too far out in that moment, any kind of handiwork, any kind of singular activity will pull you back into your center.
Exactly.
It's because it's super easy to be spun out in this world. Super easy.
Totally. And I've been just there's nobody on the road. It's like the best thing to get things done because there's no traffic.
Uh-huh.
So I've been doing my things because I know, afterwards they still will be there. So might as well get them done now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let's change the subject.
Okay.
Anything you want to share, Lauren, about challenging time that you had in your life, and what happened, and how did you get yourself from A to B?
Well, sure. I mean, there's lots of any life is fraught with challenges. So I'll show you some of my good fun ones. Are you good with that? We're going to show you my favorite. Yeah. So this is one of my favorite ways to get out of difficult spots. I look at my collection of mugs based on my favorite word.
Very good. Very good advice.
It's very right, and I like to use my favorite word in humor. It's
Mhm.
easy to go off the end of anger. Um, yeah, I've had a lot of situations. When I was my dad tried to kill himself when I was in chiropractic school. That was a
Wow.
powerful experience to take myself through that path and process and learn how to be compassionate of him
Mm,
and understand what must have been going on for him. And it was not easy. It took several years, because I was young, right? So I wasn't operating through wisdom at that point because I was still discovering what wisdom meant. And as years have gone on in spiritual study, um, I do my best to identify when I'm in personality and what part of the personality I'm in.
mm,
And the reaction that I'm having, if I'm having a huge reaction to it, what part of me is having that reaction and how old is that part?
mm,
So I have enough consciousness to be able to ask that question.
mhm,
When my partner Peter, a year and a half ago, he passed a year and a half ago. He was in a horrific car accident. There was a lot of relationship issues prior to that were working themselves out, and his experience in the hospital, all of that, his family, his kids, it was a powerful process of guilt, unworthiness. What did I participate in causing it? What didn't? All the things that come up when someone has moved into a horrific situation like that. He did eventually pass about 5 weeks after the accident. Um, but I want to say I used every single tool in my toolkit, um, including my sister putting notes up around the house for me in secret places when I would open up the drawer because anxiety had then become a chemical habit in my body,
mm,
right? Because over time, anything we practice on a daily basis, whether it's going down the rabbit hole and how far we go, chemical wise, thought wise, emotion wise, we have to put the same daily practice into getting ourselves out of that hole. And she was lovely when she came to visit with me and put notes everywhere. It's like, nope, not your fault. And I would read it and I would go, are you sure? Because some part of me, whatever I was clearing, that I hadn't been kind enough, loving enough, forgiving enough. All of those questions that have become, I want to say, my reason for being in the world is how do we work with love and forgiveness?
right.
That would be it, right? And so there's something in my on the website that I wrote, and I'll just read it because I remember when it came forward. It just along the way, the truth has revealed itself repeatedly that neither love nor forgiveness is complicated.
Mm,
What I or we attach to them can be, and sorting that out is a worthwhile journey to embark on. And so, what have I attached to loving and forgiveness that I can't do either, including to myself? And when I start to work out those points of that, I would call those points of liberation.
mm, yeah.
And when I can work those out, then I can get myself into the unconditional. Then I can extend forgiveness to myself for judging my dad for having tried to quit, right? Which was one of the themes way back then. and I can bring that forward into compassion and go, wow, he was a man in his late 50s or 60s, whatever that was, and was so completely overwhelmed. And who can't understand that? Right. So when I was able to come into understanding, then there's forgiveness. And, he continued to live his life out. He died a few years ago. If I apply that same thing to Peter and what happened around the accident and the cause of the accident and all the reasons why I want to be angry or not angry, then I just have to go, who amongst us doesn't have their demons that they're working through? Those lessons that are coming forward to really push us to choose into that, you know, and we're doing it on small scales and large scales, right? Like,
All the fucking time.
oh, wait. All the fucking time. Yes. Yes.
It's so true. And yeah, it's so true. And
So I want to ask myself questions. I want to ask better questions. If somebody comes in, if I come in with my same story and I see my patterns, I want to know what's underneath that.
yeah,
I don't know what's underneath it. I certainly can't move through it or rise above it.
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. That is so true. And that's our opportunity. We're saying that to somebody this morning. That's always the opportunity. What is the war triggering? What is this triggering?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you talk about Peter, it's just, my mother died 5 months ago, and I thought I was sort of kind of complete with her. And then,
Mm-mm.
when my dad passed, I was pretty complete. I was really complete with him, and it was a beautiful experience. With my mom, I was not complete with her, and I did a lot of work, and I dug deep, and I was angry and this and that, and why did she have to take her last breath with me? Why out of the three of us? Why? You know. So just to say, no matter what happens, whether it's these big things, somebody passes away,
Mm-hmm.
the bombs are going off, or somebody's honking the horn at you and you're flipping out, or it's always an opportunity to take a look at where am I repeating my patterns?
Mm-hmm.
Where there's more cleanup to do. What
Mm-hmm.
can I learn? Because I am, and I think you're of the same, persuasion, or look in the same direction. I'm looking also, where's my soul going?
Mm-hmm.
What am I creating for my soul? So I can't really, not that this is a political podcast, but I can't really get into all this hatred kind of, because that's not where I'm going. Because for me, I look at people and say, everybody has a soul, and
Mm-hmm.
go, these souls are better than other souls, or, mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
So sending love and light and acceptance, forgiveness. Those are powerful tools for us to be using all the time, and they're not Pollyanna. It's like, I
No.
guess, not at all Pollyanna or wishy washy or an excuse. It's like, no, it's an opportunity to change the frequency.
Well, and I think about that those principles of leaving the world better than you found it, right? How do you leave your local environment, your bedroom, your what, all the way down from folding your clothes or making your bed or your garden or whatever else? How do you leave the world a little bit of a better place? And the only way I know how to do that is to get underneath anger, to get underneath grieving,
Yeah,
because those are actually just reference points as well. And if we live in one of those too long, like I don't have a problem with any emotion anybody feels. It's when we decide to bathe in it, and then wear it as deodorant, and then use it as a calling card, or uh, right?
yeah. Well, I thought what you said a little bit ago about getting addicted to anxiety.
Yeah,
Or we can get addicted, I guess, to anything.
anything.
Because if that's the chemical that is,
Hmm.
um, that's being produced in our brain, and it feels good, and then we're just doing it
Mhm.
again, and then becomes habitual, and then we just don't even then we think it's normal.
Right,
And
correct.
then, somehow we run a story of, oh, I can't do it any other way. And it's sometimes, I find myself struggling a little bit with that. How much can or can't we do? You know, um, I used to have really, I think I consider myself a strong person, and
Mhm.
and then where can I not apply that sort of strength that I have, and need to bring compassion to somebody that is not as strong, or somebody is struggling more, and how much they can or cannot
Mhm.
get themselves from to change their consciousness. Maybe not everybody can do it as much, the
Well,
way.
that just reminds me of, just everybody's rate of growing, of unwinding, of learning is different, and we remember that while we're living, knowing that we're going to have our own hiccups. I mean, it's not. I might want to judge others, right? Because it's an easy thing to do, especially if you have an emotion, if you have an opinion about the world at large, or even your local world. How do you step out of that so you come into going, well, at the baseline, we're all breathing, we're walking, we're loving somebody, we have children, we're all human. So, how do we rid ourselves of the identifiers, except for the fact that don't we need some to be here on the world? Like part of that ego pattern, and how do we manage that and allow somebody their experience of however they're identifying?
Well, just don't be attached to it, right? So
Right.
if I can have my identifiers, and I move myself in the world that way, but I'm not too attached to them, then it's
Mm-hmm.
good. I don't want to be attached just enough so I can, walk on the ground.
Uh-huh. No, it's super true. Like, so you just start, I think I continuously ask myself those questions. So I, I keep myself on my own narrow path of staying in connection with spirit and being as loving as I possibly can be.
I think that's a good formula.
It's hard. It's not always easy.
No, but then they said it wasn't easy.
No. Although then as soon as I find myself saying that, then I go, well, that's a thing, Lauren. So what if it actually was easy?
Exactly. It's all,
So
problem.
anyway,
Who said it was easy? It's
who
easy. It
said it
could
was
be.
easy? Well, when I don't think it's easy, then I bring out this mug.
Wait, wait. Nice mug.
Yeah.
Love it.
You
Wish you
have to
could
have
show
the
some of you.
collection.
I see that.
Hmm.
So we're about at the half-hour mark where we usually wrap up. Anything you want to share? Sort of takeaways, or any last? I mean, we could go on for another 2 hours probably, but
Good.
for the sake of the viewers and listeners, we won't.
Yes.
So, what do you want to
Boom.
leave with today?
What do we want to say yes to? That's going to free us. That's going to take us to that place where we can soar, knowing that it can be as simple as saying yes to breathing more slowly when you're in a bunker,
Yeah,
to um, coming into a state of oneness when you're talking to your oncologist,
yeah,
whatever is impending for somebody, or they recognize some place in their life is just not working out, right? Like a relationship, a job, or whatever. What are we willing to say yes to? How can we invade, be crazy enough to invade our own privacy?
mm,
Because the moment we say yes and we ask, I feel like that's our signal to spirit to say, I'll take an assist.
mm.
So we flourish because we can, we soar because we said yes. Mhm.
So, what are we going to say yes to? We're going to say yes to forgiveness and loving and kindness,
Mhm.
abundance, health, wealth, happiness, all those things.
Yep.
And I think it's for everybody to figure out what they want to say yes to and what they want to say no to, and then do whatever they can in order to be open to the things that they did say yes to.
Correct. And so before we sign off, I just have to say it's so lovely to see you.
Thank
And you
you.
look beautiful, and I can feel your heart, and your eyes are sparkly when you're doing this work. And so that's your saving grace. It's my
Thank
saving
you.
grace. It's good.
Thank you. It's also lovely to see you, and who knows? I'm scheduled to come to the United States in October.
Oh, beautiful.
Let's see if that actually happens. I think it will happen. And thank you for all the work that you're doing. And please look up Lauren's website and sign up, to her newsletter and all the
Thank,
wonderful things that you offer to the world. Really,
thank
it's,
you.
it's a blessing.
Mm.
So thank you for coming today. And God bless and take care.
All right. Nice to see you.
Thanks for listening to today's podcast. Here are this episode's key takeaways. Number one, practice daily breathing exercises to calm your mind and to reduce anxiety, especially during stressful situations. Number two, use the havening techniques, gently stroking your arms or hands to soothe yourself during moments of panic or distress. Number three, engage in activities that bring you back to your center, such as puzzles, gardening, or crafts to help manage overwhelming emotions. Number four, ask yourself more pointed questions to understand the root cause of your reactions and emotional patterns. Number five, cultivate forgiveness and compassion, both for yourself and others, as a way to process difficult experiences and emotions. And number six, say yes to things that free you and align with your spiritual growth, even in small ways, like taking deeper breath or finding moments of inner peace. Again, thanks for listening. Have a great week and see you next time. Take care.